Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And y'all, today we have Stephanie Banks on, who is such a unique and inspirational channel. She's a highly sought after intuitive channel mentor, and she's a guide who helps people connect on the soul level. And the way that she channels and the perspective of what she channels in is just so fascinating. And if you're familiar with Stephanie's work, how could you not be fascinated if you're not prepared to be? I'll let Stephanie share more about how it is that she connects who or what or the nuances of the energies that she receives and how she translates it. And we'll get into soul insight also, like, and we'll talk about how to, tap into the guidance from our soul, how to navigate making decisions in our lives during this time when so much can be shifting, or maybe we want it to shift and it's not shifting in the ways that we hope. And then learning how to be open and receptive and creative with the nuances of our being here, and how we're evolving. So it's gonna be an amazing call. We'll get into live Q&A also, y'all. But I hope that y'all have an opportunity to sit back, relax, and really enjoy what I know is gonna be a beautiful, amazing conversation. And with that, Stephanie, welcome back to BTO.
Thank you so much, John. I've been looking forward to our chat for a while. It's a delight to be here with you.
It's a delight to have you. For anybody that's new to you, Stephanie, will you describe a little bit of the type of channeling and the work and the mentoring that you do?
Yeah. So I do what is called conscious channeling. That means that when I'm receiving messages from spirit or souls or energies, I am fully aware. I know what I'm saying. I receive images. I don't. I open up to what's there, but I stay very much present in my body. So I can channel any soul that's here on the planet, which is just so fun. I love it. I mean, just imagine where we can go, all the different directions we can go with that because we always have questions about our relationships or about our work in the world and hearing from our own soul or hearing from the souls of our partners or our loved ones or our friends or our ex-friends or whatever it is can really give such a depth of understanding of our journey here. And I came upon channeling not because I was born into a channeling family, but because my mother had dementia at a young age. And while I was struggling to maintain our relationship and find ways to communicate with her, she was losing her ability to communicate in traditional ways like verbal communication and comprehension. And I had to find a way to preserve our relationship for the remainder of her journey here. So I had a friend channel my mom's soul while she was alive, and I got to ask all the questions that I really needed help understanding, like, what's our soul agreement here? How can I be in better service to you? How can I learn to take care of myself while also being attentive to her? And her soul came through and told me all that and more, and it really changed the trajectory and the nature of our relationship. So, I saw what it did for me in my relationship with my mom, and I thought, I have some other relationships this could be useful for. Let me see if I can learn to channel for myself and apply it in other areas. And so I did, and I have, and I am, and now I'm teaching other people to do it for themselves, and it's amazing.
That's amazing. But when you channel in that way and channel other living souls, which you bring in, can it be challenging for the person who's receiving the reading to get such a direct reply as to what's really happening?
I have not seen anyone be challenged by it in terms of that it's hard to digest because the beauty of the messages is that if I'm channeling your soul knows exactly what you're ready to hear and what you're needing to understand. So it's going to come through in exactly the way that you need, that you can digest. And then I also spend time assisting with the processing of that. But usually, people who are new to my flavor of this will say after their message, whoa, that was a lot. I'm gonna need to listen to that again. There's a lot to think about and a lot to do and, a lot to unpack, but it's not in a negative way. Nothing ever comes through that is, um, too much. It's always from fifth dimensional loving consciousness. That's the only energetic I'm tuning into. So it's love that we're receiving guidance around.
And it's probably why it makes it so easy to digest and be receptive of and open to as well.
Mhm.
Um, in our communities, there's a lot of reference for people who are channeling higher dimensional beings, we'll call it, whether ascended master, galactic beings, whatever that is. And it's so fascinating. How can people begin to learn or to attune to being able to connect in the way that you're connecting to receive such direct and loving guidance from the capacity to channel in that way themselves?
Yeah. I feel like the most important work is for our alignment or what you might call our frequency, because when we're trying to connect with spirit and receive messages from spirit, that is at a higher frequency than what a lot of us tend to maintain in our, like while we're washing dishes or while we're parenting or while we're going through some of the more mundane and maybe annoying parts of our lives. So, a big part of this is learning how to calibrate our frequency. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Meditation, of course, is a very important foundational way to do it, but you don't have to be an awesome meditator to channel well. I'm not an awesome meditator. If there were a competition, I would be in the lower 5%. Like, I would not come home with any
Meditation
awards.
competition. I want to tune into that one.
Yeah, exactly. But I think people presume that because I am a clear channel, that I must be this stellar meditator. I have to work at meditation. It doesn't come necessarily easily to me. But what does come more easily to me is getting out of my own way and allowing for the access that spirit needs to bring forward words, language, imagery, pictures, visualizations, understanding, open my heart to be available to that. And then there are practices for doing, for improving my accessibility with that, which also up levels my frequency, my vibrational field. And happy to say that a large part of the work is bodacious self-care. Everything I do in service to my joy is going to affect the clarity of my channeling, because channeling is a joyful pursuit. Spirit is love and beauty and joy. And so when I am tending to what nourishes my heart, I am absolutely doing a service for myself and all the clients that I'll be serving, because I matter to, and I'm here to be in the divinity of me, just as everyone else is intended to be in their divinity as well. So there's a lot of practices that people can engage in. And you don't have to do anything with perfection, and you don't have to do it 10 hours a day. But find your joy and engage in something that gives you some quiet, some peace from just some disconnection from, or space at least, from those ego, fear-based thoughts.
Beautiful. It's a little while ago, we had dropped into a session that you're so kind to guide me through and to channel for. And I asked you about my book.
Mm. Mhm.
And you started channeling the energy, the beingness of this book that I feel is like gestating inside of me, and the messages um, from that entity were so profound. It was so amazing, and it was very direct, very humorous, and it brought in so much peace in the directness. And part of the essence, just to give you all some context, is like it's none of your business. I'll tell you when I'm ready. So it was like, oh, that actually really makes sense. Thank you. How is it that is this something that most people can learn to do? I've got this project coming up, or I have this thing that I have to do, or this thing that feels like it's calling inside of me. Is that something that most people can learn to tune into to receive that communication? And I don't know if it's proficiently as you from the beginning, but that communication does exist, and that we can build an intimacy so we can learn more.
Definitely, definitely. Um, where I would guide someone who's newer to this is I might not tell them, okay, just sit down and try to channel the energy of your book. I might tell them, you have guides that help you write this book. We have guides for every aspect of our soul's work here. And from the most profound, like your writing of your book, to the most mundane, like washing our dishes. And yeah, I would encourage them to tune into the guidance that they have around that book. So tune into your book writing spirit guides and ask, the questions that you have on your heart to ask. And what's interesting about channeling that I'm learning, it's becoming more and more clear to me, is a lot of the clarity will come based on the questions we're asking. And a lot of the time, we're not asking the right questions, which, John, right before we started recording, I said to you, please don't ask me to make any predictions. And I
Right.
know that you know how my work goes and that it's not predictive in quality. But even more so now, I feel like all of us have this grasp, like this need, like, are we going to be okay? Is it going to be okay? What's it going to be like? What's it going to look like? When am I going to publish this? This is my question now with my book. And what Spirit always comes through saying is that it is not about these dates. It is not about giving you an absolute. We are on a journey of an unfolding, of a growth, of an expansion of ourselves. The book will be done when the book is done. The book will be published when the book is published. In the meantime, what do you need from us? That's what our guides want to know. That's what our soul wants to know. So the question, the way we ask the question means everything about how clearly we're able to tap into the response and the guidance and the insights that we need. So one example is that when I'm teaching people how to channel, and maybe we're using a pendulum to channel, I will say to them, do not hold your pendulum and say, should I marry Johnny? Because there's so much stuff in there. The nature of that question and your attachment to the answer is going to cloud and influence what you get back. But you can ask the question, does it serve my highest good to take my relationship with Johnny to the next level? And just the switching of the language and getting really clear about that question, then your guides or your higher self can come through and show you, yes, no, here's what you need to know about that.
I love that. That brings me to a philosophy I had around AI. There was a lot of conversation about AI and oh no, and it's gonna be, and that's gonna, but AI is actually training us to ask better questions, to be
Yeah.
more specific. It's like we're getting into a mode where we're actually grounding in the creation that's possible, that's emanating through us as we get more specific as to the curiosity of what's being created and then the application of it as well. So I think it's such a beautiful mirror for what's possible in our capacity of what we can truly create.
Yeah, you're so right. We are being trained to ask better questions, and that is just going to
Mhm.
serve us so well.
So we can connect to entities, and again, our guides are going to come in. What guides do you connect specifically with people's guides and your own guides? Do you interpret who they are, or does that not really matter when you do your reading and guide other people to read for themselves as well, or to channel for themselves?
Yeah, I'll channel whoever my client wants or needs me to channel. So if they
Okay.
want to hear from their own soul, we'll go there. If they want to hear from their general, I kind of think we have general guides, and then we have guides that are specific to certain pursuits in our lives. So I'll go wherever I channel on demand. So what I'll listen to what my client is challenged by or trying to sort out, and then my guides will inform me which direction to take for them sometimes. So if I'm on the fence, well, this sounds like a higher self question, but it also could be really helpful to tune into your guides. But also there's an ancestor floating, around behind us. I'll get quiet and listen, and my guides will say, go here, or their guides will say, we're here. We want to talk to this person about this or that. So I'll just announce, well, we're going to go to this energy for that. But you can, I firmly believe everybody can and is already channeling. If we channel unconsciously we can imagine where that will lead us. So if you're channeling anyways, might as well learn to do so in a way that sources from the highest love and the greatest clarity, asking the types of questions that are really going to support you on your path. It's very natural to doubt yourself, to say things like, oh, I'm just making this up. If you say you're just making this up, please know we're all just making this up. Everything is made up all the time. That's
Mhm.
something to celebrate. That's the beauty of being a creative human. So keep going. I mean, it's natural. I still have insecurities. I still have, some nerves about certain things, some self-doubt. I'm here having a human experience too. So there is no such thing as like channeling perfectly.
I love that. And that's such a great reminder. And again, the innocence. I find that the more willing I am to be wrong, that the easier the channeling comes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because then you can bring curiosity.
Mhm. For sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, you had mentioned the term, and I'd love to get your definition of it and interpretation to bring some context. You mentioned higher self. What does higher self mean to you? And what's the essence of that as we tune into it and become more aware of the relationship between this who we are here in this physical and what we would call the higher self.
Yeah. So, based on what I've learned from mentors, and we all do have a little bit of definitions that differ, but the higher self I use interchangeably with soul.
Mm,
So, when we're channeling one's higher self, we're going to their soul perspective. When I had my best friend channel my mom's higher self, my mom's soul, we were able to hear from her that aspect of her, the soul aspect of her that has been here before for many lifetimes, always with the goal to get closer to love, divine love, pure love, agape, whatever you want to call it, through a series of relationships and experiences that expand us and allow us to feel the expression of that love and be the expression of that love. And so you can think of it like the soul is a student aspect of us that is coming here to learn and is playing out a variety of roles and relationships in order to learn. This differs from spirit in that I have learned from a mentor that the spirit is really the divine spark, that it's not that it's not that there's no student aspect to it. It is pure, all-knowing, all love. So we are learning when I'm channeling someone's higher self or soul, they have the richness of their history to bring. They can say, hey, in another lifetime, this was something I did not master. And so I am here now to bring forward more opportunities to get through this and put this behind me because I want to move on to something else. It can inform in ways that we don't understand because we're limited in our thinking to only having this one lifetime as our journey when actually we've, most of us had thousands.
fascinating. It it kind of provoked me a little bit. And you said want to go ahead and get through the experience, and but don't we want to enjoy some of the experience as well? Is it always like hard work and we need to like achieve something and get past something because there's somewhere else to be?
Well, what I was mostly saying is say I'm working something out in a romantic relationship and I find myself selecting partners that are so similar in ways that I'm just finding it stuck. I'm not advancing. Hearing from my higher self about, oh, by the way, this is here because in my last incarnation, this was also here. And I said, never mind, not dealing with that right now. And so here I am with another opportunity to deal with that. It doesn't mean I can't enjoy it. I think we can enjoy all the things in our journeys. I told you before my father recently passed, that has been gutting for me. Is my person. And I am so enjoying my relationship with him on the other side. So it's not all or none. This is hard work doing the humaning thing, and it is also amazing and rich and layered and multifaceted. So there is, yes, lots to enjoy. We're not here to be all about hard work. I have far more fun in a day than not. So yeah, we are meant to enjoy this and celebrate our wins, if
Right.
that is whatever our challenges are, we can celebrate our movements towards either transcending that or accepting that or anywhere in between.
And it's such a unique opportunity to do it in corporal, to do it in a physical body, to have these sensations that in other planes of existence we don't have the privilege of.
That's right. And so much
Yeah,
pleasure. This is just
exactly.
the greatest planet for pleasure, visual and tactile and gustatory and olfactory and
Mm.
auditory, so much.
Oh my God, so much to live for. It's amazing.
Yes.
So Stephanie, how can someone learn to be more in tune with this guidance that's available to make big and small decisions that really serve them in a higher way?
Well, I like to use the body as my, informer because she don't lie. She is always, always gonna tell me the truth. And so I feel a lot of my insights and my truth directly in my heart area. And so
Mm,
I know pretty much instantly if something is for me because it feels there's an excitement and a leaning in or a warmth or an openness to it. And I know if something is not for me because I feel like a retreat, a constriction, a tightness. And when we get really good at coming back to the wisdoms and signs of the body and trusting the wisdom of our body and acting on that, honoring that trust, then we can really be led with what's in the greatest service to us. And the thing is that many of us have been trained away from that. We have been taught through conditioning or culture or other models in our life to ignore the wisdom of the body, to override it, to empower instead the thinking mind, which tells us, well, we should really do this, even though it feels awful, even though we're losing our connection to ourselves, etc. So we're in an unlearning process when we come back to the body, and I highly recommend it because, like I said, your body, it's not even capable of lying to you. So it's this vessel that is perfectly assembled, perfectly designed, and and how exciting that it gets to carry this amazing soul around for a little bit. And remember, we're just here for a little bit. It feels like long sometimes, but it's really just a blink of an eye. So come back to the trust of your body, learn how to attune to that and listen to its guidance.
mm, beautiful. Do you ever just like play and get really wild and tune in? Okay, I want to tune into a Palladian collective from this star system, and I'm curious what you're on to say today. Do you ever just play around with that just to see what comes through?
I spend so much beautiful, delicious time channeling for clients
Ah,
that in my off time, I'm usually traipsing barefoot in my garden and picking papayas and
nice.
doing doing my earthly stuff. But I have some stellar clients who know a lot more about the entities you just brought up and then some. And I
Yeah,
learn from, they're like, can you channel this? And I'll say, yeah, because I don't have to know it to channel it. I never know what it is I'm channeling, right? So yeah, we can go there. And it is a lot of fun to just move in and out of that. When I channel for myself, I do tend to do it on a more pragmatic level, like
mm,
again, with regards to relationships or to parenting decisions I might make, or moves that I might be called for in expanding my work in the world, something of that nature.
wonderful. And I know that you do that in individual sessions and all that, so you can get practical,
Mhm.
you can play in different realms, which is wonderful. I want to open up to Q&A in a little bit. So if y'all
Mhm.
want to ask Stephanie a personal question, not predictive questions, y'all. Not predictive questions. If you ask one, we'll reframe. So,
Yeah,
we'll,
yeah. I can help reframe always.
which we'll get to. So, you guys raise your hand, type your question into the chat box, and we'll go into that in a second. Stephanie, I'm curious if we can ask a question of Gaia, Mama Earth.
Mm.
specifically for the group that's on this call.
Mhm.
And and for me, it's the question would be how can we tune into the expansion that we're going through and relate it to her and really navigate this great unknown in harmony with this particular vibratory collective that I'm talking about.
Perfect. Let's do that. Let's channel Gaia. Which, by the way, good choice, because that's my favorite energy to channel.
Love that.
Understandably so, understandably. And for all of you, I invite you to make me your favorite energy to channel. Make me your favorite mother of all time with the capital M, to be back in communication with, to be back in coherence with. See, this is what is missing. This is what is causing so much dystopia, so much disconnection, so much harm on the heart level and beyond, is that so many of the humans, my children, that's what I would call them. So many of my children are feeling this disconnection and are in great fear. And the fear, the worry, the concern, the anxiety, that is understandable. This is not something to push you out of what you are feeling. But here I am. Here
Yeah.
I am. Here I am. And look at what I have created for you all. Look at my beautiful blossoms, and look at these big majestic trees, and look at the winged creatures that bring such purity and delight. And if you feel so inclined and you wish to be more of a nurturer for all life, and of course I would rather have you inclined to that end, then become more a part of that. See, we could go macro here. We could go very, very big and vast and global, but that is exactly what is bringing my dear children to their knees. That is exactly what is causing so much of this despair. So if you go so big, if you go so wide, if you go so grand, you can become lost, and you do neither of us any good, no one any good, when you fall into that space of lostness. And so go to the micro. Let's go to the micro. Let's go to the smallest. Let's go to the living beings that are of the smallest variety. Let's start there. What can you notice? What do you see? What wonder do you have? Can you conjure it from when you were much, much younger, because you had the purest of wonder then? And that still exists within you. Of course, you won't even have to dig very far to find it. And so go small, and then go a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger. So we are speaking first perhaps at the ant level, and then you might go up to the size of a beetle, and then you might go to a lengthy wiggly worm, and then you might go to a bird, and then you might go to a bird of prey, and then you might go to bushes, shrubbery, trees, etc. You see where I am going here. Wherever your eyes have not been accustomed to landing, let them land, and let yourself muse, and let yourself wonder, and let yourself ask the question, how can I be in greater service and greater attention and greater appreciation to these small, small beings? And how can I be more connected to the larger beings? And what is it that this tree right here, right outside my very home, is trying to communicate to me, is trying to share with me? Why do I feel a constant draw and pull and summoning towards her? And what would happen if I went and just sat near her, or wrapped my arms around her and placed my heart against her? And so that is what I am asking you to do. I am asking you to come back to your natural inclination to be in connection, to be in love, to be in coherence with me, with the vibrational field that I naturally emanate, for that is your vibrational natural field as well. And did you know that there are sounds? There are sounds that you can find at some of those healing sound programs, or baths, or whatever you might call them, that are the exact resonance of me. Yes, go to them, be with them, because the frequency that you can receive from that, being that it is the frequency that I naturally emanate, that is our natural life state, will help to cleanse and clear your heart. And when your heart is cleansed and cleared, you can feel it lightening. And when you have a lighter heart, you are more inclined to notice the beauty and the love and the life that is all around. And when you are more inclined to love the life that is all around, you can then protect it. You can then promote the well-being of all. And now we can say that that we are coherent. Now we can say that we are in connection. Now we can say that here is where we begin and where we continue forevermore.
Mm.
Oh, thank you, Gaia.
Ooh. Yeah, thank you, Guy. Wow, so beautiful. I'm just soaking that up for a second, y'all, before I continue here. Um, that was very resonant.
Yeah.
I can feel that. Wow. Mm. Right. Shall we open up to questions from the audience?
Yes, I'm looking at these beautiful faces here on my screen. Hello, lovelies.
Amy, let's start with you. Welcome to the call.
Thank you. Hi, John. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Stephanie, I after the last time you were on this show, I had a special session with you. I took advantage of the offer. It was amazing. And you were able to let me hear from my mom before she died. And I am forever grateful. And I just want to tell you, I'm so sorry about the passing of your dad. Um, I unfortunately know how that feels now. So thank you. Um, Today's question, though, is quite different. I've had a 6 month sabbatical since closing down my startup. It's been glorious, and now I'm considering where I'm going to put my career energy and service energy next. I have a lot of different directions I might go, so I'm looking for guidance from my guides on what might be unfolding for me from in my career bucket.
Okay, perfect, Amy. Let's tune into your guides around this. It is true. And what a wonderful problem to have, is it not? To have so many various paths that you have envisioned prior to taking birth in this lifetime, and that we have alongside you carefully laid out the trailheads for. So it's perfect. It's perfect and it's beautiful and it's well marked and it's perfectly explained. If you can imagine yourself on this beautiful hike, reaching a point where there are 6 at minimum different directions you could take, and each trailhead, each pathway is labeled with a name of the path and its general purpose. And we are not just saying this for imagination's sake. We are actually wanting you to map this on paper. We are wanting you to channel this because we are seeing it and sharing it with you right now to offer you the clarity that you are seeking with regards to where you might direct and channel your energy first and foremost. And it is good to know that. So sit with your channeling state, sit in your meditative state and envision yourself in the middle with these 6 paths. Give them each a name, or rather receive the name that each path holds. And then 1 to 2 sentences, certainly no more, and do not get caught up in the perfection of this, of what this path holds, what its ultimate purpose is, and what you hope to be able to accomplish or serve through the striking onto the path of in that direction. And then when you have this, when you feel complete enough with this, put it away. Do not give it another thought. We like how you determined that your sabbatical was a certain period of time. We love when you are adherent to a particular segment of time. And then you know what we do? That's right. We stretch time. And we are doing that right now for you. So while you might think that there is a deadline of sorts, or perhaps it is best for you to make an ultimate decision in a particular time frame, we would suggest the opposite. We would suggest that only make your decision with regards to where you will direct the majority of your attention, your time, and your resources when you feel wild of heart. That is what you are looking for. The feeling of being wild of heart. You felt it before, you'll feel it again. It's coming. Oh, I love being wild of heart.
Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Beautiful blessings to you. Y'all, we're going to get into a special offer in a little bit. And of course, we're going to do, call on more of y'all. Great questions coming in as well. The special offer link is in the chat box, or it'll pop up there any second now. There you go. There's an opportunity to go deeper with Stephanie into a couple of live classes. And again, I want to put it up there so that you can peruse a little bit as we continue here. Um, there's someone I want to call on here real quick, but I wanted to ask you, Stephanie, because I'll get lost again in the energy. You mentioned that you were tuning in with your mom when she had dementia. What did you learn about dementia? Because so much of it is such a mystery.
Yeah. And I'll say I can only I'll share what I learned from my mom's experience with it.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Um, she let me know that, and this was really illuminating for me because I was doing something that was very jarring to her, and I learned through the channeling to stop doing that. But she would zone out, she'd be at our family dinners or at our table or playing with my kids, and then she would just completely disengage and her eyes would glaze over and this is not uncommon at all with dementia behaviors. And I would be like, "Hey, mom," like take her shoulder and try to bring her back. Um, and she told me through the channeling, that's very disruptive to
Mm,
her. She's traveling when she does
yeah.
that. And I'm trying to make her stay with us in this reality, but sometimes she needs to travel either because there's others that she's visiting with and communing with, or because we're just being too noisy, right? Like, I wanna travel too half the time. I wanna glaze over and, like, just be in my spirit land and some boring meetings or whatever.
Mm,
So, I learned to let her be.
mm,
I learned to share with my kids, teach my kids, like, when grandma is somewhere else or she's not paying attention, she loves you so much and she's doing something kind of cool and interesting. And we might be able to ask her about it, we might not. But we can just keep playing and she'll come back when she's ready.
mm. That's
So,
wonderful.
yeah.
That's so honoring of the
Mhm.
process and of the intelligence
Yeah.
that's running some of it, because there's a soul intelligence that's playing out there
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
So fascinating. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
I'm gonna
resonating.
share one more thing because
Yeah.
I hear her now. You brought her into my ears. She's saying, tell them how you learned how to get back in your own lane with she had a I didn't realize this until I channeled her, but she had a soul agreement with my father to where in a previous lifetime he had made agreements that he was not able to keep for whatever reason. So this was his lifetime to clear all that up. And he was doing an amazing job. But I, as a superhero, wanted to fly in and rescue him from all this,
Mhm.
what I thought looked to be far too difficult. And she was like, back up, sister. This
Wow.
is my relationship. We are doing our thing. And I learned from that, like, and I learned a lot just by being able to witness something so beautiful come to completion. He really was able to serve in the way he contracted to.
Yeah. And he was going through his expansion and retribution in those contracts or in those agreements in some ways as well. So, oh, wonderful. Ah, I love those insights. My mom had dementia as well. Um, and it was quite the journey, and I understood that she was going different places, but she was funny with me also. As part of my healing, she would always invite me. She's like, John, there's anything that you need to tell me, if you need to scream at me, yell obscenities, whatever you need to do, do it now because I'm going to forget 2 minutes later. So take this time in your life to let it out because I'm not going to hold it. And she'd laugh about it like it's like, dude, now I don't care. It's like I'm not going to hold it. It's going to be gone. Um,
What
and
a gift.
what a wonderful
Yeah.
gift that she provided. And again, she had a sense of humor with it, which was, thank goodness. Um, I think of all after all those years of being so serious in her life, because she had to struggle so much that was part of her escape or
Mhm.
relieving of what was so dense for so long. So it's again
Yeah.
such a mysterious journey, but one that gets to be honored, even though it may
Yeah.
not be in our comfort zone. Um,
Yeah, and that is one of the, I mean, there are gifts in dementia, and one of them is you'll always get an opportunity to try again because the short-term memory isn't there.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's okay if things fall apart, and they will, and they do. And I missed the mark, oh my God, so many times with my mom. But then I just show up again with a shiny face and try and see, well, maybe this will work. And eventually we'd get it.
They say that's the sign of the most successful quarterbacks in the NFL. They forget the last play. They don't forget the interception. They forget the bad pass, and they just go again and they start over.
Yeah,
Each one's a new opportunity. It's not like, oh my God, all these past mistakes. So there's something to be said for that. That's quite profound. Uh,
yeah.
all right, Stephanie, I want to take a question that came in from the chat box. I think a
Uh-huh.
couple of people are saying they're resonating with this. Wendy's saying, I'm in a deep hole in all areas of my life, financial, living situation, health, lack of relationship of all types. Is there any hope for positive change? Well, I already know the answer to that, but let's see. And what can I do to improve my life?
Okay. And you said Wendy is the first name of
Wendy.
the person? Okay, so let's channel Wendy's amazing, gorgeous, powerful higher self.
Hmm.
Go on, go on, go on. There are many, many, many other wondrous descriptive words that should and could be applied to me, and the power of me, and the love of me, and the compassion of me, and the capacity of me, and the capability of me. Yes. So I will acknowledge that there's a wet blanket of sorts that has settled not just over me, but kind of within the walls that I reside in, and the ceiling and the roof, and even the other places I might frequent. There is some density, some heaviness, some sadness. It's not mine exclusively though, and that's something I would very much like to bring into the light here. I am a highly, 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 highly sensitive being. And I am very astute when it comes to picking up on the states of others. And so whether I call this a powerful empath, or whether I call this a curse, it doesn't really matter, because it all can feel quite enormous, quite the heavy load that I am carrying. And so the good news is that I am capable of carrying so much. And the better news is that I am even more capable of dropping that load, especially that which does not belong to me. And a lot of what I am holding right now, what I am feeling as that wet blanket energy, does belong to others. So here's my brief list of how I'm going to shake, spoiler alert, shake this feeling for the most part, and allow for grace to move into the space that I've created. Okay, number one, I have to shake. I have to shake my body in the ways that are safe but also sustained. And so I will start very slow and with some ease, and pick up pace and intensity as appropriate to my body, because it is also highly, 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 highly sensitive. And as I pick up intensity, I will notice that the heart rate begins to increase too, and this is a good effect, because I am activating something that has been in a settled and heavy sort of energy, sort of like when concrete is poured, it goes from thick liquid form into the hardening state, and that is what I feel has happened, is a hardening of concrete. So I am going to shake. I am ultimately the foundation, which is underneath the concrete, so I can shake and break free of this. Secondly, on this list is my breath, for this is the affirmation of my vitality of my life. And I am oftentimes not paying any sort of attention, just like most of humanity, to be sure, about how I am breathing, whether I am nourishing the cells that need the most nourishment, whether I'm oxygenating to the extent that I need to, whether I am allowing for the heart and the breath to come into similar wave patterns. And so I'm going to unlearn some of this ineffective breathing, and relearn some very beautiful breathing that will bring me into a suitable state for creativity, which brings me to my last point, number 3. I am an enormously creative being. I am at my worst when I am not creating. I am at my best when I am in flow. And my modalities and my mediums are many. And some of them I am already familiar with and have been working with, and others, many, many others, are yet to be discovered. So no, I will not spoil the surprise of what is coming, but I will in fact seek out the lessons, the classes, the courses, the teachers, the leaders who are expressing creatively in ways that are just absolutely fascinating to me. And in so doing, I will free myself. That's ultimately what I am here to do. And for this segment of time, for the next 6 weeks, I will ease into these techniques, these strategies, and for the next 6 years, I will find myself hitting a wonderful stride. Oh, that sounds good, Wendy.
Wonderful. Wow. Full download right there with steps and
Yeah.
everything else. Wendy, if you missed any of that, or if it was a lot, come back and listen to the replay. We're going to run it, no worries whatsoever. And this might resonate for some of y'all as well. There's something that
Oh, yeah.
collectively we're totally feeling inside, which is wonderful. I want to get into more Q&A. There's another Gaia question that came in that I absolutely want to get into because I want to
Okay.
expand on it. And we'll have plenty of time for all of it, y'all. But first, I want to make sure that you all do not miss the opportunity to go deeper with Stephanie and in the special offer because it's such a special opportunity, especially again at the price points that we get to offer it on VTO. So if you would click on the link that's in the chat box, Chris, put it in the chat box one more time if you don't mind. There you go. Uh, it's highlighted in blue. Click on that link or open up a new browser and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Stephanie34, and it'll take you to that same page. And Stephanie, how are people going to get to experience more of this with you?
Yeah. So do you want me to go through what the package
Please,
is?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm actually going to be teaching a class specifically to your people, John,
Mhm.
on connecting, on channeling their own higher self. So I want to teach you all how to channel your own souls. And that, guess what the workshop is called? Channel your soul. So see, really easy to remember there.
Um,
It's a 2-part series, and I'm going to give you all the things that I know that work, all the things that I use when I'm channeling your souls that you can use for yourself, for you to get more in connection with your own soul. And it also includes a channeling group. So kind of like what we're doing right now, where I will take personal questions and channel for as many people as I can get through. That's a 90-minute offering, is the group channeling. The beauty, as you're probably realizing it with group channeling, is that even though it's someone else's message, it's not just their message. There is a universality to all of the wisdom that comes through. That's just the way I channel. That will, if you want it, keep it, use it. It's for you as well. I learn all the time from every single message that comes through me. Sometimes I'll stop and be like, oh my God, that's really good. I want to write that down too and use that. So you'll have the opportunity to experience group channeling and likely have your burning question answered or channeled for you.
Amazing. And the two-part series, y'all. It's the first one's January 8th from 8 to 9:15 p.m. Eastern time zone. And then the week after on January the 15th. Um, January 15th, October 22nd. It's okay. Well, I'll need
So the
to
classes, yeah, are the 8th and the 15th, and then the 22nd is the group channeling.
okay, perfect. Um, and the group channeling is October 22nd,
Yeah. Oh, no.
January
That's a
22nd.
typo,
We're,
correct.
we're gonna we're gonna correct that. April or Chris, can y'all fix that on the sales page, please? Um, what's time anyway? We're still trying to figure that out now. Oh, have you ever channeled time as an entity before?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Uh-huh. Maybe, but I want to take some Q&A from the audience.
Yeah.
Y'all, $147. This is almost a $500 value. There's a 2 payment option on this to get into this energy with Stephanie. And again, the unique way in when you're seeing her channel, what's coming through. Stephanie, do you teach people to also like get into communication with like another person's higher self? So if I'm having an argument with my brother or with a spouse and something's coming in, can we tune into our more illuminated truth to help to resolve and bring clarity, or at least understanding into the current situation?
Yes, and please let's do let's do more of that, right? That's really what
Right.
these times are calling for. We're not doing a great job coming from ego and personality, in case we were not noticing that.
Right.
So we really do need to come from the grander, more true, perspective of our soul, of spirit, of love. Yeah, there's a lot to be learned there. So you can absolutely learn to do that. And again,
Mm,
trusting what's coming through and how asking the right questions so you have the kind of guidance that will support you. If it's a difficult relationship with a sibling, that's really hard. You don't want that to last your whole lifetime of struggle,
right.
so to get clarity on that and bring in what is yours and leave the rest, then yes, we can channel.
Well, and it teaches us to be better communicators in general without having to channel and to open up and to really speak from the heart space instead of trying to maneuver and manipulate for an outcome because we think we have to be in defense. And that's what's created all this imbalance in our lives. And so to learn
Absolutely.
to really tune in that way and to authentically and lovingly, which love can be a sword or it can be, feather. Um,
Mhm.
Communicate from that place it changes our paradigms. Really, if y'all are looking for a timeline shift, that
Mhm.
is the way to actually realize it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we try to communicate with all these other energies and ascend into other things, and the gateway to that lives right inside of us through that authentic relating, through that heart relating.
Absolutely. That was beautifully, beautifully
Mhm.
said.
Yeah.
And I know that we are all craving more love and more peace and more harmony. And that isn't just something that we are going to wait to happen. We actually have to be the vessels of that and make the room and the space for that. So yeah, it's always through relationships.
Mhm.
It's everything. That's what our souls are. That's where we play out what we're here to learn and do and who we're here to be.
And I'm finding now also through my experiences is that there's this overlaying that's happening where higher self or soul or guidance that was coming in, there's like this overlaying where it's becoming more landed in like this space that we can access that is us
Mm,
rather than outside of us or separate from us or so distant. It's all this because of the consciousness that we have agreed to assimilate to, that this is becoming that much more embodied and with the capacity to be played out in our human experience, which is so exciting that we're
it
creating
is.
this.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is so fun, y'all. It's such a great time to be alive, truly. Even if we're going through challenges, which we all are in different ways, because we're expanding, we're contracting and expanding, contracting, expanding. So you're not unique in having challenges, but your challenge is unique to you. So again, so much compassion for that. Um, all right, y'all, the special offer, I'm just going on because I'm so excited about the opportunity. $147 for those channeled sessions. Again, it's way lower than what Stephanie charges for her regular workshops and individual sessions. And just, I'm excited to be able to present this to y'all on this call. So I hope you take advantage of it. All right, Stephanie, let's go to a live caller, then I'll get to the question about Gaia. Kimmy, let's go to you. Welcome, Kimmy.
Hi, John. Hi. So my question is, in 2006, my husband committed suicide a year after a terrible motorcycle accident, and he had attempted suicide a couple times. I want to know if he left a note. We were taken for a lot of money, and I believe that he left a note, and I believe with the money, the note was going to. Is there something he needs to tell me?
Okay. So we'll tune into him, but I likely will not be telling you if there's a note or where the note is because but I'll bring it through his soul essence. Okay, Kimmy? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey baby, you are looking sparkly and gorgeous as ever. Gotta say, you don't age a day. In fact, maybe it's the reverse. You're moving in reverse. I don't mean to be, I'm not being flippant or anything. I'm just here really admiring, really appreciating. And so I know I have let a whole lot of hearts down. I know I have created suffering on top of suffering, and I also know that your heart in particular is perhaps one of um, the most capable, the most strong, the most able to see and feel and know what is also true, what is also here, what is also me. And so I thank you. I want to thank you for doing what you can. And it's a hard slog, I know, to ensure that I am not my end game, that I do not become a story exclusively told about the last little bit, because that's the part that if I could erase, I would. I would erase it, I would reverse it, I would eliminate all of the suffering that it has caused, and we would be as we were, as we are, I would dare say, with the love and the understanding. We still have quite a bit of ground to cover, and we are. And you know this. I'm not saying anything you don't already know. What I would like for you, however, is to give yourself permission to um, not to give yourself permission to look for other clues. That's something that can be useful to you. I am not trying to sound cryptic here. This is something that will likely unfurl for you some information, some little seeds that are being planted, but look for other clues, clues of my presence and my resilience, clues for our ongoing communication and connection, clues that I have also strewn about without maybe being so polished or well thought out. You know, I could be a bit impulsive. Is that an understatement, my darling? Anyways, I'm still that way. That's an element, an aspect of me as I move about in the pure, loving energy that I inhabit. I am still bouncing and bumping and thrusting myself up against where there are perceived boundaries, because, you know, I like to push the boundaries. That's maybe also an understatement. So don't be a bit surprised if I now come busting through to you, maybe in your imaginings, maybe maybe in your dreams. I will never be a startler to you. I will not be something that creates fear. I will not shake you up or bring anything other than the element of surprise, and I do hope delight. And so I know you're open to that, and we do have, like I say, more ground to cover as it relates to healing, and we'll get there, we'll get there, we'll get there, because we are us. Hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Holy, thank
There
you.
you go, Kimmy. Come back and listen. We'll play the replay and just let it seep into your heart even more. So beautiful. Thank you for allowing us to witness this. Blessings to you, love. Mhm. All right, let's continue. Let's go to my friend Susan. Susan, welcome to the call. Hi.
Hey, thank you, John. It's nice to see you
Nice to
and
see you too.
Stephanie. Thank you. I joined a little late, so I missed the first part of the session. But I was just going to ask for a general information from my higher self.
Okay, well, instead of general, let's have you attune to your heart and ask for what you want, knowing you can ask anything at all of your higher self and there are no wrong questions. What would be most useful to you to hear about?
Okay, I just had a blessing with my ex
Mhm.
a week ago, and I'm curious as to whether that's completely resolved.
Awesome. Like a ceremonial kind of blessing?
Yes, I did the ceremony after I had an encounter with him,
Okay.
which was an apology to me for long overdue, and it's so
Okay.
grateful that I received that.
And this was like he was physically present for this, or this was done on
Yes, he was physically
okay.
present. We ran into each other impromptu, and I said,
Okay.
"You owe me an apology."
Okay,
And
cool.
he gave it to me unbelievably.
Okay. Can I channel him for you? Is that okay? He's here and he's super
Beautiful.
excited
Love
to be
that.
recognized. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's tune into him. You have no idea what this is doing for me to be acknowledged in this way in front of a whole bunch of strangers. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. This feels like an Academy Award of sorts. I feel as though I am holding a golden globe in my hands. And now I want to give an acceptance speech. I do. And if I did, which I am, it would sound like this. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my dear, dear beloved, because you have always given me the opportunity to shine in exactly the way that I need to. And while this particular encounter, as you call it, may have been to to tend to your heart and to complete what was still straggling and niggling about between us. The truth is that you also knew on some level just how much this would float me, just how much this would serve my expansion. And no matter what we call ourselves or what kind of container we choose to describe our relationship or what types of changes or laments or resentments or frustrations or accusations or acceptances we have between us, no matter all of that, what is true is that the essence of you is always to see what is good and possible and to allow for others to rise to the occasion. And that is what you did for me. And so I thank you. And by the way, I have a lot more that you can call forward in me, just saying, in case you were wondering.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
How does your heart feel, Susan? Does your heart feel open or does it feel like it's a little protective?
No, I think my heart feels really open. It
Good.
was just such an incredible encounter where we bumped into each other at the dentist's office, and it had been 2 years since he had left me for a married girlfriend, and literally turned his back and walked out the door. And I had so much grieving for the past year or two, and when I ran into him, I thought it was Thanksgiving. I thought, you owe me an apology. And he really just laid it all out there. And he said he'd regretted, if not for every day, he'd regretted what he had done, and to
Mm.
me of all people. So it was just the most amazing
I,
apology, and I deserved it.
I love that it came in and something that you mentioned when you were asking the question. And you said something to the likes of, I never thought would happen, or it's impossible, or it's a miracle. And again, something to that effect. But I want you to invite you and all of us on this call and everybody that we know and that we touch to really start tuning into those things that are really in alignment with the essence and the respect and the honor and the reverence and the dignity that we have for ourselves, and to not to believe that those things are so far-fetched to ask for, to not to think that it would be a miracle, but to really start carrying the essence and the leadership component. I know this is coming up big, Stephanie. The leadership, no, no, this is the standard in which we are and I am to live by, and to have an expectation that this can show up and will show up under the right circumstance, and that we keep our heart open to it, not from an expectation that I won't be able to forgive or let go if this doesn't happen, but to carry our energetic frequency and vibration with an awareness that that alignment and balance will come to us in one form or another, and to hold the truth of that steady and alive, because we are creating our world with those thought forms, and we are being called to raise the standards of the frequency in which we're inhabiting our lives with, so that we can create more stable foundations, not just for ourselves, but for the legacy that we leave here with the love that we choose to receive and expand upon as we're living here in human form. So it's really important work that you just did, and to hold again that standard and that leadership is so important right now.
Yes, and just to have it come through in such an honorable, honest,
Yes.
authentic, heartfelt way
Hmm.
was just so wonderful. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful.
Way to call it in. And thank you for doing the ceremony with it also, because again, it plants in ceremony. Again, the reverence, the dignity, the acknowledgement, and it opens it up to the light of the divinity and to higher self. So it's again, beautiful work. Congratulations.
Yes,
And
it
yeah.
was a ceremony to complete a full circle of 360 degrees where I'm to move forward.
Hmm. Wonderful. Thank you,
So
Susan.
thank you. Thank you
Yes.
for my help today.
Absolutely. Stephanie, leadership.
Yeah.
What is coming up around leadership in the field as of late?
Well, we are all leading,
Hmm.
right? We are all leading, even if you're just saying, well, I'm just leading myself. Nobody is living so isolated that we are not affecting many other beings, human and more than human. So this time in particular, as we look at leadership that's breaking down, like visible leadership, say in our political systems and globally, things that are busting apart, breaking down, transitioning over, all sorts of things. It really is calling to each of us to step into our leadership more authentically, more with greater integrity. We must be the integrity and the truth and the possibility that we want to see in the world. So I'm inviting each of us to feel into what is ours. That doesn't mean we have to do everything. That doesn't mean I have to save the whole world, even though my ego mind tells me that all the time, every day. There are aspects that I am as a soul here to express and to be responsible for. And there are parts that are not mine at all, but we are all here to lead in some way, and to lead those that are watching us, those that are affected by the ripple we put out. We are always emanating energetic frequency, and it goes into the field. And so when I'm in despair, I'm contributing to that field of despair. I do that plenty, by the way. I have a lot, just like all of us, to despair about. And when I am in love and gratitude and appreciation, I'm contributing to that field too. So, being conscious of where we're at, what we need, how we advocate for ourselves. Susan's example was so beautiful, because what she didn't realize is that she was just taking a stand for herself. I am deserving of an apology for a behavior that was unacceptable. But what she did, as we heard from her ex-partner, is she led so well in creating that opportunity and stating what was appropriate and necessary. He was able to step into that, which healed things within himself. That's why he was holding these awards, like, oh my gosh, I never thought I could be this. So she didn't go in with that. It wasn't for him. But when we advocate for ourselves, when we take leadership for ourselves, this is what the ripple effect is. And sometimes we see it and sometimes we will never see it, but it is ours to do. And we are all leaders in our families, in our communities, for our pets, for our areas of land that we live around or get to visit and touch and grow from. So that's what I'd say about leadership.
That's beautiful. And what Susan demonstrates so beautifully also in her knowing, her direct communication in her knowing, this is what it is. It wasn't leaning and accommodating and trying to attune and empath around to see if she'd get something in the way or that he'd receive it. It's like, this is what I'm requiring right now. And then that he could show up in the clarity. A lot of times we want clarity, but we show up we're not quite sure that we're going to be received or afraid or we're going to be heard or understood or there's a certain way or whatever. I mean, we all know it well. It's again, it's not unique to any of us to be aloof in our own questioning of what we want. But what Susan did, she just went straight in. This is what I want. It's time. And in that, he could reply with that directness.
Yeah.
Again, such a beautiful aspect of that leadership. And we're learning. Again, that's why I love tuning into the classes with you and working with you, because the quality of our questions is the quality of the response that we get back. And you teach and guide people on how to act more precise questions to really tune into what's available, that we can integrate and play with and embody and ask deeper questions with. And it becomes fun after a while, after we do some of the heavy lifting. It's like, wow, I can actually create with my questions and my directness. And it's just, we open up worlds with those possibilities. So again, Susan, thank you for being such a beautiful example of what's possible. So, Stephanie, I want to ask you a question from Natasha. A lot of people have a connection with Gaia, working with Earth. I know I do. So I think this is so relevant for a lot of us on this call and listening to the replay. She wants to know if Gaia has anything to tell her about Natasha's work with Gaia. And she says, thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, so if Natasha can type in just a little bit, I'm asking for a little more to tune into. What is her work with her? She can just do a sentence or if she can come on screen. I don't know if that's possible and
If she
unmute.
raises her hand, I can try to find her. Yes, let's see.
Okay.
Let's see if we can pull her up. She hasn't come up yet and she hasn't typed it in, but there she is. Let's promote you to panelist. Nope, she hung up. Natasha, you want to
I
try one more
scared
time?
her off.
Let me see. Let me see. You're not so scary. I seriously doubt that. All right, Natasha, we're gonna put her on, and I'm gonna take some more Q&A, y'all. We still got plenty of time, so this is gonna be great.
Hi, Natasha. Tell me just a little more about your connection
Hi,
that you're wanting to tune into.
Stephanie. You know me. I paint. So I
Oh,
paint.
yes. Okay.
Okay. So I paint, you know, I was told in the last couple of years that I actually been channeling Gaia. I just celebrate her beauty and the energies and so on. And I also been told lately that I have portal work to do with the earth, with Gaia, with stones, with this space on my property. And so I'm kind of I think I have a design, you know, it's just about acknowledging. I don't know all the details because this
Okay.
area is kind of new to me.
Okay.
But I think it's about marking an area and then becoming the energy and acknowledging her and about helping others connect with other specific places. So I just was wondering if Guy had anything to tell me about my connecting, because I connect in some ways. It's not like conscious channeling when I paint, you know?
Mhm.
And so people have been telling me, well, connect more directly with Gaia and she'll help you more. And, you know, your work will improve. And but I think I think I should take a course from you because I don't always hear that well, you know? So I've
Okay.
been going by my feelings and, I don't know if there's anything they could tell me. I plan on putting stones down for design, you
Okay.
know, and I have stones that I collected from the water, if you want to be specific. And as somebody I know came in the house and they said, these stones are screaming to be free, get them out of the house. They should go back to the water. And so that's like, maybe it's too
Okay.
specific
I
and
got
it
you,
sounds
girl.
hard,
I
but
got
anyway,
you.
anything.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I love
Okay.
your abundance, really. Yeah.
All right. Let's tune into Gaia. Well, I have to say this. I say this with humor and I say this with love. And I have to say this. I am so, so, so dearly grateful that I am not of human mind. And I am not mocking your human mind, my beautiful child, my beautiful daughter. No, no, no. I'm not mocking it at all. I am simply acknowledging that when you have such an affliction, And there are so many others walking about with similar affliction who have what you all fondly know of as opinions, and who have what you fondly experience as everybody's right to deliver their opinions, and to be noisy about their opinions, and to be directive, and to be somewhat, I would even say, maybe even demanding about their opinions. Well, it can cause quite a gust of wind, can't it? And then, of course, my children, the humans, wonder, where are all the winds coming from? Well, I am doing my best to blow and to clear and to cleanse and to bring about newness and emptiness, hopefully, for that is what a good, strong, capable wind or storm can do, don't you know, is to clear the state, the space, the energies, to rebuild, to recreate, to reimagine, to redesign, to regenerate. So that is what I want to say. And now, if you want my advice, and I suppose that you do, for you are asking for it, I would say that with great love, I invite you to hit the mute button on on most anyone that has an opinion to offer to you about how you should or should not do your work, what is and isn't proper or appropriate for you to feel, or ways for you to express. And you know what, that mute button, it can extend to you as well, my dear one. You can use it when your own mind state becomes amplified and tells you that you are not on the right track. I'll tell you something. I'll let you in on what is not a secret. You are absolutely on the right track. You and I, we are tight. We are connected. You do not have to do anything so very perfect or prescribed or absolute. You do not have to make grids or arrangements or graphics in design in order for you to tap into a well or a fount of freshness or insights from me. No, all you need to do, now get this very clearly, all you need to do is breathe, sit and breathe, exchange air. Be in the vitality of your body, be in the exquisiteness of your gifts, be in the endless flow of energy that you and I share. And if you wish, if you're so inclined, if you feel intrigued and activated to do so, then yes, go upon the land, as you call it, and become part of a group, another group of like-minded, deeply earthly connected humans that have a leader that you might know as one who is shamanically gifted to lead and learn from that being, learn from that group, learn how to bring about ceremony in your own way. And soon enough, you will be creating such a ruckus, and not in a noisy sort of way, but in an interesting sort of way, that others will come out of the woodwork. Others will come out and see and wonder and ask, what are you up to? Can we be part of this? And even if you haven't any clear idea what it is that you are doing, or what language is coming forth from your lips, or how it is that you are seeing and transmitting imagery and impulses from brush to palette, to canvas, to walls, to paper, to whatever you choose, even if you do not understand it, that is especially and particularly the place from which to teach, from which to lead, from which to express, from which to create. So all of this is to say, no more noise from the outside, no more advice, even from the most well-meaning of teachers, of opinionated individuals. This is about you and me.
There you go.
All right, thank
All
you.
right. Come back
Thank
and
you.
listen, Natasha. Yeah, how
Pardon?
wonderful. I said, come back and listen to Gaia.
Yes.
Yes.
I keep I do have to get in my way. I'm a specialist in getting in my way, but I'm learning. At least I know what it kind of means now. I kind of know.
Well, I think it's what's so rich for me in that is she's showing us how this connection that we have with Mother Earth is pure. There is nothing impeding it. Never, ever, ever. I mean, we are her. There's nothing about us, our tissue, our bones, we're stardust, we're everything, we're the cosmos, we're Earth. And so we can really, not just even in our own minds, get into the notion of and teaching, learning of separation, but then we can have those who are helpers or well-meaning who come in. It's so interesting to hear Natasha say, like, people are saying, get those stones out. They're screaming at me. Yeah, I'm not, maybe the stones were screaming. Who can say? But the thing is that that's for you. Those are yours. They're in your space. If they need to be elsewhere, the stones will communicate to you. You will feel the desire to return them wherever they need to go. It's noisy around us. There's so many opinions and so many insisting competing voices. And it really is, along with the leadership, we have to be able to discern just you and her, just me and Gaia, just, each one of us and our mother with a capital M, to really, really drop into what does she need of me? Because it's a little bit different for each of us.
Yeah, so beautiful. Such a great awareness. I love the invitation to connect on the shamanic path and teacher as well. That was really resonant. It's so deep.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna look into that. I mean, I haven't been, because I kind of have felt myself outside of these things, and other people can do it, and
Right. That's what
but
she's not doing.
I always, yeah. So I always felt, this closeness, and I used to not understand it as spiritual. I just thought it was my personal connection, like very, very personal, and nobody else could understand it. And I didn't know it was anything, blah, blah. Anyways,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
thank
you
you.
for sharing that. And I just have to reflect because we can be so innocent with it. It's like I don't know how to plant a rose garden, how to fertilize it, and how to make beautiful roses blossom, but it doesn't mean that I can't go up to a rose and appreciate the beauty and her essence and the activation she's given me and the groundedness and the connection to divinity.
And
And
isn't that maybe the most beautiful thing, because you're doing it right
right.
from your genuine feeling, right?
And we separate ourselves from consciousness because we think that it's separate from us. But why can't that rose be such a beautiful example of those things that call to us through their sense or their echo or their soul connection with us? They're being called to us because there is that connection. It does exist. And let's
Right.
remember not to remove ourselves from those things that call us because if they weren't for us, they wouldn't call us.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and we get to witness and experience that beauty even just by being curious and a little at the very least open up the pinprick of acceptance and curiosity to see what wants to blossom from there. But if we say no to it immediately, wow.
Yeah, like, part of it was, Stephanie, you kind of know part of this, but my partner had passed, transitioned, and now I've learned over the year, to be in communion at a higher level, in more joyful realms. But I was going to the water here and bringing back stones almost every day, like several days a week, and it was my form of communion and prayer and blessing. But I was also taking back these stones, so my house became full of these river stones. And yeah, that was part of that story. And I thought, yeah, why not use it for a design outside, where I could honor Gaia. And yeah, and so it sounds like she doesn't have an objection.
Beautiful, Natasha. Thank you for coming on and blessings
Thank
too.
you, John.
You're
Yes.
very welcome. Y'all, there's this, and again, learning the communication like Natasha was just describing, going deeper. The special offer with Stephanie, it's awesome. The link for the special offer is in the chat box. There's a 2 payment option on it. Again, the classes will begin in January the 8th. And there'll be this and so much more. And again, learning how to tune in, guidance and how to tune in, learning how to ask better questions and feel into the better questions, tuning into the wisdom of our bodies. That will be the truth teller, I think, of all truth tellers in so many ways. And so much more. And the way that Stephanie offers it is just fantastic. So again, the link for that special offer is in the chat box. Stephanie, thank you for putting together that very generous offer. And oh my God, thank you for the energy in which you're bringing through today and that we're all getting to benefit from. It's such a great call. Um, yeah, and y'all, we'll have Stephanie back. I promise. We'll coordinate. There's a lot of calls and questions that I want to take, um, but it's time for us to end today. So, Stephanie, with that, again, thank you for coming on. It's wonderful to see you, and thank you for everything that you do and teaching us and showing us what's possible in these communications.
Thank you so much, John. I love these meetings with you, these groups,
Mm.
these adventures, and your work in the world is so important. So it's my honor. And thank you all for showing up in support of this and your souls.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. It's just so wonderful to be here with all of y'all and feel y'all in this community. It's
Yeah.
such a beautiful reflection of everything that's possible in this world, truly.
Especially in this portal today, 12-12-24.
That's right,
This
12-12.
is like my energy has been running in an interesting way all day. Like I can feel this heat, and I don't know. I woke up, something in my head came, Anno Domini. I said I had to look that up. It's like a sacred year, the year of the Lord, like a sacred year, I think, this year
Beautiful.
and this time. So for everyone.
Thank you for sharing that, Natasha.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the reminder of the 12-12. Happy, blessed 12-12 and the rest of 2024. And
Yeah.
it's possible. And what are we activating? And what are we choosing to be for 2025 as well? Start today. Love you guys. Wonderful to see you here. I look forward to seeing you all on the next call. Namaste.